said this mindset made him a millionaire at 24. Do
Has
this
changed
today.
my entire life more than anything I could have purchased, more than any person. This one idea did it for me, and this is it.
Talk to me then. Talk to me. I said talk to
Cold
me.
punch. None of that. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, I've always had a problem with that bald kickboxer guy. This guy gets online, he's tall, he's well-dressed, 4-time world champion kickboxer.
Oh, he talking about Tate.
Worth like almost $1 billion now, and you want to be just like him. But he'll say stuff along the lines of like, I was born this way. I was always going to do great things. I've had that fire in my belly since I was a baby. That he was always going to be top G. And I believe him too. I think that Tate has like tiger blood. He's like born to crush.
He said tiger blood.
Of people watching those videos cannot say the same. 99% of people are born losers. His
True.
advice is just not relatable to the average person. He's nothing like you, and you are nothing like him. He's never been what you are. He just wants to paint a picture. He's really good at painting a picture of being the type of guy that you want to be. There are almost no examples of people who were actual losers and then came up and then were not a loser. Like losers who transformed themselves into something great. I can't find any of them. Therefore, you subconsciously accept these traits that you hate about yourself and nothing ever changes for you. I'm here to tell you something. And I know this is just a video that appeared on your feed. I know I'm a random guy. I know that people say that their words mean a lot all the time, but if you're gonna sit and ponder for any one singular idea for the rest of the day or for the rest of the week, please let it be this. I'm saying this because this idea, this one idea, has changed my entire life.
Tell us.
While sitting on this floating rock, existing. More than anything I could have purchased, more than any person, this one idea did it for me, and this is it. As a human being, you have the ability to change anything you don't like about yourself. It doesn't matter if it's a personality trait that you've had since you could talk. It doesn't matter if it was a belief that your parents
Control the controllables.
It does not matter what it is. Any single thing that you want to change can change. If you identify as lazy, you can change that. If you identify as socially awkward, you can definitely change that. It's actually super easy. You identify as unlovable, super easy to change. You identify as dumb or not good enough or not smart enough or not capable of starting a business. Any of those things, I know you think those in your head kind of deep down, but you never fully express it. Those can all change.
All controllables.
Every single one of those things I just listed, I used to be introverted, highly anxious, super unmotivated, super undisciplined, lazy, awkward, not thoughtful, whatever. I was a shadow of myself. Okay, this is a picture of me when I was 18. You can kind of see that I just had no life in those eyes, no will to do anything, to conquer. I had zero testosterone. I just had zero confidence.
This is facts.
There's nothing about myself that I really love.
Zero
I
testosterone.
have multiple millions of dollars to my name. I have 19 people that work for me directly, including 2 family members. I retired my mom and I pay her 6 figures a year just because she gave me a really good childhood. I live in Miami with a fairly large circle of friends.
That's what we need to be on, Beer. You hear? We need to get on that. We gotta turn our grind up, man. That's all we gotta do. Turn our grind up. Let's listen, though. Let's listen.
But as we speak, I have multiple millions of dollars to my name. I have 19 people that work for me directly, including 2 family members. I retired my mom and I pay her 6 figures a year just because she gave me a really good childhood. I live in Miami with a fairly large circle of friends. We're all killing it. I'm dating a hot Latina that I plan to marry in the next couple.
That nigga said a hot Latina.
years. 2 of the 3 vehicles I own go 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds. And I got stars on the roof right now. So with that, here are 5 things that I did to transition from being an absolute loser to being top 0.01% for my age group. The first thing
Talk to us.
Not a loser is getting what people in the industry call a mission. And this might be a buzzword, this might be a word that you're kind of sick of hearing, but I underestimated the importance of this for a long time. I'm sure you've met people in life before who kind of just like have no direction.
Exactly. You gotta plan things out. You gotta write shit down.
And there's nothing.
You gotta stop doing that. Castle, this is a good point. I fuck with it. I fuck with this point. It's a great point. I'm gonna keep listening.
Direction. Or maybe you are the person. You're kind of just letting life happen to you. And there's nothing really that you're like working towards, whether it's like a revenue generating thing, like you're trying to make money, or whether it's an artistic thing, or whether it's like a passion thing. But most people don't have this. And this is why most people are kind of bums. Like they're kind of
NPCs, literally.
There's very few people
Surface.
that have passion. But the people that do, that passion is dedicated to what we call a mission. And so what the mission is very simple. It's just an obsession. It's just a thing that you work on every single day, no matter what, because you love it. And the thing that stops a lot of people is that you don't really have anything that you love. It's because you haven't looked. It's because you don't do anything. These are all like the traits.
Literally, I was just telling my homie, just telling him. A lot of people say they don't got passion. They couldn't find their passion. You just haven't did enough things. You think you just gonna be good at something automatically, and now that's your passion. That's how you think passion come about. No, this passion still got grind and hard work, my guy. Come on.
I stumbled upon my mission at probably the best time that I could have. It was also the best thing that I could have done, and it was a perfect thing that I could work on with my skill set that I already had. This is copywriting that I'm talking about. When I discovered copywriting, it lit me up where I just could not believe it was possible to make stupid money online with the skill of writing. When the mission manifested, what it looked like for me was I kind of went from being just aimless, like kind of working on a degree, mostly not, and then everyone kind of saw me just switch, where every single day I would wake up and I had one thing on my to-do list, and it was just get clients. That was the only thing I cared about. That was all I wanted to do. And that inherently kind of made me interesting because, again, most people don't have that passion thing. It's like the special ingredient for like what puts life in your eyes. And again, it doesn't have to be a thing that generates revenue. It can just be a thing that you just love to do. But anytime you've ever met someone who has that charisma, they have that gene in them where they just like don't quit. Like they just pick a thing that they love and they just work on it, even if it's stupid. But every single successful person or every person who has some sort of motion, they also have a mission. And the cool thing about that is that it acts like a friend to you. And this is gonna sound very rapper-esque, but the trenches are kind of lonely. When you're working on something, when you're trying to make something yourself, no one really wants to root for you. No one's really doing it with you because, again, like this is a 1% thing. Very unlikely that your friends are also going to be 1%. And so when you have this mission, it's kind of all you have. And I remember like I got very lonely around 2021.
You get lonely at the top because nobody relates.
Spending very much time with my friends because I just didn't have time. I was working on the thing I wanted to do, which was copywriting. I was making money too. I was probably around like 20,000-ish a month. That's phenomenal, but I still I was lonely as fuck, and it was kind of sad, but it wasn't because I had the thing that I was working on. I had copywriting, and it was all I needed to sort of keep pushing because that's what you can wake up every day and dedicate yourself to. A lot of people they dedicate themselves to relationships, and you realize that people become very unattractive when all they care about is their significant other. It's way more likely that you're going to be an attractive person, whether it's to a significant other or to your friends or from strangers or anyone. If you have something that you care about more than anything else, that's what the mission is. That's the purpose that it serves. And the quicker you can figure out what that thing is for you, the better off you're going to be so you can move on to the next step. The second thing that I started doing to be successful and not a loser that I wrote down was get spiritual. I was an atheist for a long time, actually my whole life.
We had a spirit. An atheist come to.
I never really bought it because I couldn't see it. I kind of always rejected the idea.
When he turned into
universe or God or anything that I couldn't
Catholic,
see.
Christian.
I'm not asking you to switch religions or become spiritual or start believing something that you don't, but I am asking you to have an open mind to it because every
something
single
out there
person that I know believes in some sort of higher power,
whether
something
out
God
there.
Or the universe or whatever. They understand that there is something greater than
you
that
ain't doing all this on your own.
To, and they can lean on for support.
You ain't doing all this on your own, my
boy. I started kind of looking for God and started using the word God. It was when I first started copywriting. I kind of was looking for a community, but that wasn't the right reason. The second time was about a year and a half ago. It was June 2023 when I started realizing that I had all of this stuff. And I was like, there's no way that I deserve all this. There's no way that I did all of this on my own. There must be some sort of thing, invisible hand that kind of helped me get this, and there must be a reason for it. You can feel really egotistical when you have all this stuff and you think that the universe or God favored you and there's all these people that have nothing. But then you have to think about, should I think about why it is, or should I just be grateful and just do my best to give back? And so I started thinking more about having a relationship with a higher power that has just been giving me blessings, since I started making money online. That's kind of when it started, or maybe even before that. That was the way that I picked it up. That's how I figured out God was a thing. But what I actually did with the information was what actually matters and what you should be doing too. Before that, I never threw up any prayers. I never really thought about it too much. I never followed the rules. For example, love thy neighbor, or let go and let God. All these little maxims that you hear in religion or
They
spirituality.
got
I never
business.
really got it, and I was also very anxious. Like, even after I was making money, I still had that same anxiety that I was talking about when I was like 19, 20, and I had no idea what was going on. I was kind of just a mess. And once I started being able to give some
Yeah,
back,
people think the money gonna change. The money ain't gonna change a cornball. You gotta wanna change that shit. Those are the controllables that you can change.
someone else, just like every other successful person does, it made me a lot lighter, and it made it way easier for me to carry on when stuff gets tough. So most recently is about a month and a half ago, I had this really rough week. It was a week where I put in probably like 70 or 80 hours. I had this project that I was working on. I had to make it good. It had to be perfect. There was a bunch of money on the line, and if I messed it up, it was going to be a huge disappointment. It would affect our bottom line. Nobody else on my team or any of my friends or in the world gave a fuck that I was doing that. Nobody really cared. I was the only person that I could sort of depend on. It was just me and God. And I remember that was when I was praying the most, when I was just thrown up. And it wasn't even to like ask for help. All I was doing was trying to be grateful. All I was doing was trying to make sure
could
that
always
I kept
be
in
worse.
perspective like what I had. Where like, if you think of it as like a relationship, you're not going to just be asking for things in a relationship all the time. You're going to be like giving as much as you get, right? And so I always try and balance out asks versus being grateful as much as I can, to the point where I try not to ask for anything at all and try and just give thanks. Anytime I had a complaint about the things that were going on this week, or like, you know, me being stressed about stuff, I would just say like, I'm grateful that I get this opportunity to even be in this position, and I know you got me. And it worked out exactly how I thought it was going to. It was like one of the biggest days or weeks in business that we'd had in a long time. And I knew it was just because I offloaded all of that stress and I gave it up upstairs. That was one of the only ways that I could have gotten through that. And when you're trying to go through the process of transition, and you're trying to
Be hard.
be better, you can't do that alone. I told you about the mission already, but you already know that your friends and your family don't really give a fuck. You gotta have the only person who gives a fuck besides you, and that's up there. Universe, God, whatever you want to call it. Third thing that I wish I knew earlier, that once I realized it made me not a loser, or at least not feel like a loser, which is the most important part, especially for this one, is swag where you're at. And I wish I came up with that phrase. I didn't. Shout out Grant Lannon,
What
one
the
of my wisest
fuck?
friends. But he talks about this all the time. Swag where you're at. So what does that mean? When you think about
I just mean stay in your lane, be in your lane. Whatever your lane is, flourish in it. But swag where you at, you can tell this a white nigga. Let's continue though.
You think about people that have the most stuff, like they're 6'5", they're rich, they got a cool car, they got a hot wife or something like that. You think about people that have all this stuff, and you would think that because that would make you confident if you had all that. If you were that person, you'd be like, all right, yeah, I'm confident. The thing is, though, with real confident people, it's not about all the stuff that you have or all the stuff that you are. It's about swagging where you're at. You and I both know that you can't really change your height. You can't change the way you look for the most part. You can get in the gym, I guess. But I know fat people that are confident too. Why is that? It's not because they're the best looking person ever, they have the most stuff. It's because they're just cool with who they are. And this is an exercise that I started doing more recently, where anytime I felt like I didn't have something that was comparable to someone else, like if I'm just...
That's why comparison is thief of joy.
We're all 6'4", like I feel short as fuck. But you can reframe everything that you think is bad or unlikable about yourself into something that is likable or good, and completely change the paradigm in which you think about it. If there's something about yourself that you don't like, you have to either like just be cool with it and tell yourself that that's why you're cool, or do something to change it and just like do it with a smile on your face. And I used to have this sort of thing that I would say, where it's like I would just say, like, no matter what, I'd just be like, yo, I'm the best. And people would be like, why are you the best? And I would just be like, well, I just am. Like, because you don't have to have a reason. You don't have to have a reason to like feel yourself. And if you wake up in the morning and tell yourself that you're the fucking best, even if like you kind of look like shit, and maybe you are a little bit out of shape, but you're feeling yourself, and you just like, you think like, yo, I'm fucking sexy. I'm just cool as fuck, bro. And I'm likable.
So you gotta do that though. He ain't lying.
And like anything I get right now will be extra. I'm like, yeah, business is down, but like, who gives a fuck, bro? Like, I'm still him. You know what I mean? I'm still that guy. Who gives a shit? Business is down, okay, it'll be fixed. Like, by this time next month, I'll be totally fine. Like, you just have to have that like delusional confidence that like is completely unreasonable. the literal meaning of unreasonable meaning, like there is no reason for you to be this confident. And the people that are the most likable are the ones that just love themselves. It's not the most attractive people. It's not the richest people. In fact, honestly, the most attractive and the richest people are not super confident because they don't have to be, because they haven't done the work. You know what I mean? Like they've built a business and that's what they place their confidence on, or they've built a sick body and they're 6'4" and that's what they base their confidence on. But if you can just be confident no matter what, and just think you're the shit just because, no one can take that away from you. Like no one can like steal your height and make you fat and ugly and make your business go to zero and all of a sudden take your confidence away. You don't need any of that stuff. You can just be you and be like, yo, I'm him because I'm me. That's all you have to say. That's the only reason you need to have confidence. That's the best part about having confidence. That's why it's such an attractive thing, is because it's like, it's unshakable. Doesn't matter what people say about you. Be like, yo, like why, Mace, like why would you be confident? Like you're like the height of my little brother. I'd be like, okay, little brother sounds great, man. Like you can reframe anything that anyone says about you in a positive way just because it's yours. Like you should have this ego that every single thing about you or anything you touch is
He's
better
spitting chat.
because you touched it or
Because
because
you
it
did it.
you. A lot of people don't like this. A lot of people think that, you know, if you think like this, you're egotistical or you're a dick, you're an asshole, whatever. But it's like, well, fuck them, because they're all unconfident. None of them like themselves. You know what I mean? Like they would so much rather be you than them. They would rather be you with an ego than them all humble and shit. You can kind of reject the idea of humility, because the dictionary definition is something like lowering yourself around other people. Why the fuck would you want to do that? Why would you want to do that? For other people? No. The correct answer, if you're trying to actually serve other people and be better for others, you gotta be the best version of you. You gotta love yourself. You gotta swag where the fuck you're at and be confident for no apparent reason, just because you're you. Number 4, and this is something that took me a long time to figure out, but I'm so glad I figured it out, is you have to stop thinking that strangers are the enemy. I grew up thinking,
Bro, he said everything I was just telling back. You go realize, because you gotta bring value to people. You wanna be able to make money. Start bringing value to people, because people is the money holders. Who are the money? How do people get money? They get it from people. So if you want to stay in your circle, stay broke in your circle. Then I want to stay broke in that circle. But once you start expanding and broadening your horizon, you gonna realize that other people is the placeholders. That's how you gonna navigate through life. We need to talk. We need to understand. You can't motherfucking become friends with people without them being strangers first.
that people suck, because that's like kind of the general consensus. It's like a funny, edgy thing to say, where it's like, I hate people. People are dumb. Americans are stupid. These people are dumb. Look at these idiots in the way. All these guys are just standing here. You say this so much, and you just become so like just judgmental of everybody forever. It makes you afraid of people. Like the most introverted people are the ones that are the most judgmental. You would think that that wouldn't make sense, but like the people that like are afraid to talk to everybody and have like crazy social anxiety are the ones that just judge everyone. Like it's kind of like a meme where it's like you have like the quiet girl who like reads books all the time. She's in the hall of your high school and she's like watching people go by. And it's like she looks at the jocks and she goes, ugh, like look at the jocks walking by. They're so dumb. They're so hairy and fucking sweaty. It's like, dude, you would want to be them. You would want to be the female equivalent of them. Like they're the ones that are having all the fun. I used to think that you couldn't decide if you were an extrovert or an introvert, or at least that being an introvert meant that you don't get to have a social life.
Literally.
It's not true. You can choose to recharge.
You can be both.
Be by your lonesome on a Friday night.
These is just words. You can be both.
Like the life of the party when you're around people. And I think like a big mindset shift that I had to have was, number 1, stop saying that you hate people. Stop like internalizing that, because you don't. There's lots of people you like. You just choose to fixate on the people that you don't like to prove that fact for yourself so that you can feel justified in your identity. But what's actually true
validation.
is that everyone has very similar experiences to you. And you can learn so much just by being around other people, and having people like you means that your life is going to be great. I love the idea of being like surrounded by people. I think it's so nice to like be at like a Thanksgiving dinner or something like that, or just a big get together with all your friends, because it's just all this energy in one room. And one of the reasons why you don't like people is because you think that they're judging you too, but it's actually that you're just judging them. And most of the time, like, these people are gonna be really nice to you. If you can check all the things off of this list that I wrote down here, the 5 things that are gonna make you not a loser, if you can check those things off, people are gonna love you. You're gonna be magnetic to be around. And then it'll be way easier for you to be extroverted, to be, social and talking to everybody and making friends and networking with people. And then you won't have that fear anymore, and your whole life is going to get better. It's very difficult to have a really nice, fun life by yourself. I want to have a big family. I want to have like a bunch of kids. I want to have like as many friends as I can possibly take care of. I want to have a bunch of people in my circle that I can depend on, because I think the more the merrier. The next step to that, once you've kind of decided that people are not scary, it's like, what can you do to be like extremely memorable to these people that you're
Value you bring it.
If you live in a place where tipping goes a long way, I've talked about this a lot. Like,
That's
you can
that servant
really
shit.
put someone in your pocket by being cool to them and like caring about them. A server, if you give a shit about them, you ask them questions, and then you tip really well, and you're just a cool person to be around, those people are like undyingly loyal to you. It's insane. There's this restaurant in Miami where I went there one time with my girl, and I tipped really well on the bill. It was like a $300 bill, and I tipped like 70%.
Damn, nigga.
He really liked me. And so he gave me a card, like his personal sort of card, where it's like anytime I wanted to come into the restaurant, I could just book through him. And so I started doing that because I go to this place all the time. It's a really good restaurant. I would text him and be like, yo, Marlon, I'm coming in, bro. Like, me and my girl or me and my boys or whatever. And be like, all right, cool. Like, I got you set up. Like, come in, whatever. Most of the time, you get a reservation, you're waiting at the bar. At least in Miami, you're waiting for a solid 10 to sometimes 40 minutes. I've waited 40 minutes at a bar at a restaurant because even though I had a reservation, they just don't have the space for you. If you go through Marlon, he will make sure that there's space for you, and he will take such good care of you that it's not even funny. And so I'll go there and I'll have the best dinner ever because I feel like I'm getting VIP service just because I'm loyal to Marlon. Marlon's loyal to me. I tip him. He's happy to serve me, and we have a great relationship. There's another server at the restaurant where there was one time I was there like a month or two ago, and he was talking about how he
Ain't lying though. I told you gotta build them relationships.
Like, how I used to like play guitar and stuff in sessions, and so like we were bantering on that. The next time I saw him, I was like, dog, how's music going? And he showed me like his pitch deck. He said he's like this close to getting a deal or something like that, like a pub deal or something. And like, you can't get the experience of being treated like a VIP unless you are a people person and you're generous and you see good in other people. So if you're gonna sit there and think that people are evil and people are dumb and whatever, like, that's just the worst way to think about anything, and you're sabotaging your entire life. You're unlocking all of these new experiences that you would never get to have if it weren't for people. Life is short and the world's pretty small. Like, there's only so many places that you can go on vacation to. There's only so many things you can buy. The only thing that really does feel truly infinite, experiences that no one else will get to have, are with other people. Like, how many times have you seen someone post a picture of their honeymoon in fucking Bora Bora, or like that one place at Capri, Italy? Like, everyone has been there. Everyone has done that. That's an experience that money can buy, that you can go and you say like, oh yeah, like the world is beautiful, and that's great. I want to do that too. The only experiences that are truly unique are between you and another person. And if you're gonna sit there and sulk about how you're not a people person, you're socially anxious, and how you're
Holding
introverted,
yourself back.
you're denying yourself of millions of experiences you can have over the course of a lifetime. And that is one thing that you will probably regret heavily. So this is a mindset you absolutely need to change, or you're missing out on everything. All right, the last thing, the 5th thing, is probably the most important, and it's to add fun into everything you do. So this comes from a tweet actually that I saw from my friend Ricardo.
Enjoy that shit. Enjoy the journey.
It's simple. It said, everything falls apart when you stop having fun with it. And I think that applies to everything. It applies to relationships. It applies to business. It applies to anything that you actually choose to spend your time doing. Most people take things way too seriously, and we forget that life is really good. If you've nailed the first 4 of these things, this 5th thing is gonna be really easy to do. Most people are so serious and so boring, and therefore bored, and hate their lives because they just don't know how to add fun into the things
they
that
do
they do on a daily basis.
Literally.
The best kinds of people to be around are the ones that are just like fun no matter what. I used to work at McDonald's. And
Me too, bro.
And he just had this way of like, whatever we were doing, whether it was like an overnight shift and it was 4 a.m. and I'm exhausted and I'm falling asleep, or it was just like really busy, or it was really dead, like in the store, he was always cracking up. He was always doing some goofball shit. He was always just like making kind of like a joke out of everything that he did, but he was still good at his job. He was actually probably one of the most competent guys that I worked with. Everyone loves that guy, or girl, but no one knows how to be that guy. And all that means is just like stop taking everything so seriously. I always think about like how I'm gonna feel when I'm 75. And like me personally, I'm gonna think about all the things that I've done. I'm gonna think about my body of work. I'm gonna think about money I've made, friends I've made, people I've taken care of, people I've helped. And I'm gonna realize that everything worked out the way I wanted it to anyway. So why was I stressing the whole time?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I know it's kind of hard to think about, like, if you are kind of in a dark place, like, not everyone's, like, born to just, like, be able to make a joke out of everything. It is sort of like a gene, but it is something that I've learned.
Yeah, it take time, day and day.
I wasn't born thinking these things.
You had to learn it. You had to overcome whatever you was thinking about. Overcome it, learn it. And it's a motherfucking grind that we gotta figure out. Okay. We gotta figure it out, my fault. Yeah, we gotta figure it out. But you ain't gonna figure it out by not doing it. You gotta change some shit. Gotta get to it. If you don't fuck with all of the things, at least fuck with one of the things he said and change. And see if you can change some shit, because I know you can. So you get to it, my nigga. We got to get to it, because I'm definitely changing some shit around.